Thank you very much, Eric. Coming to Mason African Motifs. Uh, we are on Economic and Management Science Grade 8, paper 1. That is the paper that we are going to look at. So this is a term 2 revision. This is a term 2 revision, grade 8. So we are going to prepare ourselves with this paper that was written in Limpopo province. So that is that. That is the paper that was written in Mohalo district. So it was written in Mohalo district. So that is that. So it is a grade 8. So that is that with people. So the marks that we are, the total marks of this paper is 100 marks. So we are just to spend 1 hour, 60 minutes to finish this paper. So let us be on instructions and information grade 8. The first instruction says this question paper consists of 2 sections and you are to read questions carefully in instruction, that is instruction 2. Instruction 3, this paper must be complete in 60 minutes, that is an hour. Write neatly and legible. Answer all the questions using the spaces provided. So hope we understand, hope we are together. So like we can see, section A is 15 marks. That is question 1.1 to 1.3. So these are the mark allocation, and you are just to take 15 minutes on section A. Section B, that is question 2.1 to 2.3, and you are to get 35 marks. And you are to only take how many minutes? 5 minutes. You are to take 35 minutes to finish question section B. So the total marks all in all is 50 marks. So that is that with people. So now, as we are told that this question paper consists of 6 pages, including the cover page. So that is that. Without wasting much time, grade 8, let us now attend to our first question. So the question 1, that is multiple choice question. That is multiple choice question. So it's a multiple choice question. As 1.1 says, choose the most correct answers by making a cross X next to the correct answer. So we are giving example here. The money used to start a business is capital. So that is why there is a cross for that. So this is how we are going to do it. So let us be on 1.1. 1.1.1 says land and buildings, vehicles and equipments are. So we are given these 4 options: long-term liabilities, fixed assets, current liabilities. And the correct answer there is B. The correct answer there is B, fixed assets. So the correct answer there is B, fixed assets. So we know very well that the land and buildings, vehicles and equipment are called fixed assets because they are used in the business for a long time and are not bought for resale. So that is that, for example, a school buys a delivery van to transport books. So the van will be used for many years. So it is a fixed asset. So hope we are together on that. Let us be on question 1.1.2. As it says, in the transaction, it says in the transaction, B. Banda deposited 12,000 in the business account to increase his capital to 72,000. So now we are asked how we are going to record it. So we are given these 4 options as we can go through them. So you can see now the correct answer there is C. C is the correct answer. So we're asked to show through what? The X. So C is correct. So the correct answer there is C. Whereby we are saying the bank account is debited with 12,000. The bank account is debited with 12,000. So this means when the owner deposits money into the bank account, the business bank account is going to increase. So in accounting, an increase in asset, which is bank, is recorded on the debit side. So meaning to say, As Mr. Banda deposits 12,000 into the business account, bank increases by 12,000. That is debit bank account. Capital increases by 12,000. Then you want to credit what? Capital account. That is how it is treated. Hope we are together, people. So now let us go to 1.1.3. The money paid out for daily running of the business is known as, so we are given these four options with people, wages, profit, income, and expenses. So the answer there is what? Is D. The correct answer is D, expenses. The correct answer is D because you're saying the money paid out for daily running of the business. Paid out. So that is what we're saying. It's an expense. So money paid for daily running of the business is called expenses. For example, pay for electricity, water, rent, or salaries are all expenses because the business spends money to operate. Hope we are still on one page. So now let us be on 1.14. The money that business owes to the bank is known as, the money that the business owes to the bank is known as, we have liability, income, expense, and investment. So that is a liability. So it means the correct answer there is A. The correct answer there is A. That is a liability. We know that money owed by the business to the bank or other businesses is called a liability. For example, if business borrows 20,000 from the bank, the loan must be repaid later. So therefore, it is a liability. So that is that. So now let us be on 1.15. If a business has assets worth 50,000 and liabilities amounting to 25,000, how much is the owner's equity? How much is owner's equity? So we are saying the correct answer there is going to be B. The correct answer there is B. Owner's equity score is calculated using accounting equation. It's calculated using accounting equation. So we are going to have calculation where we're going to say 50,000 minus 25,500. 50,000 minus 25,500, it will give us 24,500. So therefore, the owner's equity is how much? 24,500. So if a business, for example, owns assets 50,000 and owns 25,500, the remaining value belongs to the owner, which is this 25,000 that we are talking, 24,500 that we are talking about. So that is that, people. So the correct answer there is B. So that is that. So now let us move on to 1.2. Let us be on 1.2. Matching. 1.2 is about what? Matching. Yes, it says 1.21 current income. So we're going to, so here it says match the column in A, that is column in A, with the most suitable explanation in column B. So we're talking about this column B. Write only the letter representing the explanations in the answer column. So column A is what? Is concept. That is why we say match the concept in column A, but column B is what? Explanations. So we are going to make sure that we are going to match these explanations to these concepts. So that is that. So let us start as with 1.1, we have current income. So now we're going to look at the explanation that is going to match this concept, current income, current income. So let us go through them. Let us go through them as we can go through them and look. This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, this is E, and this is F. So the correct answer there is D, for current income. So the correct answer there is D. So we are saying the correct answer there is D. So as it says, the current income, that is the money, D, that is the money earned by the business for services rendered. So current income is the money that is earned by business for the service that the business have rendered it. So the correct answer that we are saying is D. So current income is money earned by business for service rendered or goods sold. For example, let's say, for example, a hair salon receives 800 from customers for haircuts. That is the service that they render for cutting the hair. So that money goes to under current account, that is current income. 1.22, receipt. So now we go through this explanation and see explanations that is going to match this concept, receipt. So as you go through them bit by bit, as you go through them, you can see that the F is a correct answer. F is correct answer. So we are saying F. As receipt is a written proof that an amount of money has been received. So that is why we say F is a correct answer. A receipt is written proof money has been received. It's a proof that the money has been received. For example, that we can make, let's say, after paying school fees, the parent received the receipt as a proof of payments. So that is that with people. Now 1.23 wages. So now let us look at the explanations that do match our concept of wages. So you can see now E is a correct answer. E is a correct answer. So we are saying E. So this is our E. So as E says, the weekly amounts paid to employee or workers. That is that. Wages are weekly payments made to employees or workers. So that is that, for example, a shop assistant is paid 1,500 every week. So that is that. So hope we are together with people. So we have said wages is E. 1.24, owner's equity. So we go through these explanations and try to find out the explanations that do match this concept, owner's equity. So you can see that A is correct. A is correct. Why I'm saying A is because owner's equity, that is the interest of the owner. So it is the assets of the business. So owner's equity is the owner's interest in the business after liabilities are deducted from assets. So that is where we are saying A is the one that matches that. So we are saying A. So A. So that is that. So now we have drawings 2.5, 1.25. So sorry. So that is that. So I want us to write them in such a way that they are expected to be writing. So we have said for current income is D. So we have said for receipt is F. And we have said for wages is E. And for owner's equity, guys, is A. For owner's equity, we have said is A. Then we are going to come to drawings now. We're going to come to drawings now and try to see the drawings. Sorry for that. So drawings now, let us be drawings and try to find the suitable explanation that is going to best suit that. So that is that. So that is that. We're not supposed to use the x's. So drawings, now let us look at the drawings, good people. Drawings. So drawings, you can see now the correct answer is B. Drawings, the correct answer is B. That is the money of stock that the owner withdraw from the business for personal use. So meaning to say, we are saying the correct answer there is B. That is drawings. Correct answer is B. So drawings, like you're saying, okay, when the owner takes cash or goods from the business for personal use. For example, the owner takes 2,000 from the business account to buy personal goods. So that is a drawings. So that is that. So now let us move on to true or false question. True or false. As it says, indicate whether the following statements are true or false. So now we have this, the statement 1.31. The sundry accounts column in the cash receipts journal records all the money received by the business. So now we want to know whether that is true or that is false. So the answer is false. the answer is false. As our statement on 1.31 says, the sundry accounts column in the cash receipt journal records all demand received by business. So here you do say the sundry accounts column in the cash receipt journal records all demand received by the business. So we are saying it's what? It's a false. So it doesn't record all the money that is received by the business. So that is the false. Sundry accounts column records money received that does not fit into the main columns. Not all money received by the business, but it only records the ones that does not fit in the main columns. So that's why we're saying it's a false. So hope we understand that. So now let us be on 1.32. Fixed assets are assets that can be turned into cash within a period of 12 months. So 1.32 is false as well. Is false, as it says fixed assets are that can be turned into cash within 12 months. So that is false. Assets that can be converted into cash within 12 months are called current assets, not fixed assets. So that is what we're saying is false. 1.33, in the accounting equation, each transaction will have a debit entry and credit entry in accounting equation. So this is true. So that is true 1.33. So every transaction affects two accounts according to the double entry system. So that is what we are saying. That statement, when it says in accounting equation, each transaction will have a debit entry and credit entry. So the answer is true, because that every transaction affects two accounts according to the double entry system. For example, buying equipment for church, the equipment account increases, that is debit, and church decreases, that is credit. So that is what we're saying is true. 1.34. Expenses increase the profit made by the business. So we are saying expenses increase the profit made by business. Expenses increase the profit made by business, that is false. That is false. Expenses reduce the profit because money is spent by the business. So, for example, if rent increases, the business profit becomes what? Becomes low. So that is where we are saying it's false. That is where we are saying it's false. So that is that. So now let us be on 1.35. When income is earned, the owner's equity increases. When income is earned, the owner's equity increases. That is true. That is true. So we are going to write true. So explanation, income increases the value of the business and therefore increases owner's equity. So that is that. So a business earns 5,000 from sales, which increases the owner's equity, for example. So that is what we're saying is true. So this is all about section A. This is all about section A. So now we have to move on to section B. So let us be on section B, question 2. Section B, question 2. So this is where we are asked to name the steps in accounting equation. We are to name the steps in accounting equation. As 2.11 says, name the steps in accounting cycle. So in accounting cycle. So that is that. So the accounting cycle step-by-step process business used to record and prepare financial information. So the cycle starts when a transaction happens and ends when financial statements are prepared. That is that. That is what accounting cycle is all about. So now we are going to start. So it starts with transaction. So it starts with transaction. So it starts with transaction. We know that when we talk of transaction, we're talking about that is when a business activity takes place. So this is the starting point of accounting. Something happens that affects the business. For example, the business buys goods for 5,000 cash, or the business sells goods for 2,000. So that is a transaction that we are talking about. So now the second one now is what? Is a source document. Source document. So with source document, that is a proof of the transaction is collected. So a source document is evidence that the transactions happened. So it helps accountants record correct information. For example, of source documents, you can talk of invoice, you can talk of receipt, you can talk of register slip, you can talk of deposit slip, you can talk of even account check counterfoil. So that is that. So for example, if goods are bought, the supplier gives an invoice showing the date, amount, items bought, that is that. So the third one, we have journals. We have journals. So journals are that their transactions are first recorded in journals. You know very well that transactions are first recorded in journals. So journals are books of first entry. Transactions are grouped according to the type before being transferred to ledger. So common journals that we know is cash receipt journal, cash payment journal, sales journal, purchases journal, general journal. So that is that. So if business, for example, receives 3,000 cash from custom, it is recorded in the cash receipts journal. It's recorded in the cash um, receipts journal. So that is that. So now let us move on to the fourth one. The fourth one is general ledger. General ledger. So information from journal is transferred to accounts, which is general ledger. So the ledger contains separate accounts. For example, we are going to have cash account, sales account, rent account, debtors account, creditors account. So this process is called posting. Hope we are together on that. So the fifth one is what? The trial balance. Is trial balance. So with trial balance, that these are the balances of accounts checked. So trial balance tests whether total debits equals to total credits. So if they are equal, it suggests entries were recorded correctly. So that is that. So now follows income statement. Now follows income statement. So with income statement, we are talking about profit or loss is calculated. This is where you're going to calculate the profit or loss. So the income statement shows income earned, expenses paid, profit or loss for the period. So that is that. So now this is all about this accounting cycle that we are talking about. So this is what you were expected to do. So that is that. So now let us move on to accounting equation. Let us move on to accounting equation. This is where we are now on accounting equation. So we are now equation, like I've said. So that is 2.2. It said analyze the effect of the following transaction on the accounting equation. The first one, Peter started his shoe repair business by investing 35,000 into his new business, Peter's shoe repairs. So now we are to show that into our accounting question. But before that, let's read the second one. Peter's shoe repair paid wages 852 to the cleaner. So now let us show how we are going to treat this in our accounting question. So accounting question that is assets is equal to owner's equity plus liabilities. So now we are going to have our assets, our owner's equity, as well as our what do you call our liabilities. So now we want to know the effect and the reason. That is what you're going to do. Let us start by the assets now. As the first one says, Peter started the shoe repair business by investing this much, 35,000, into his new business, that is pistachio repairs. So it means now we are going to increase by 35,000. Our assets are going to be increased because our bank account is going to be increased by that amount. So that is always when asset bank increases. We are going to say asset bank increases. Asset bank increases. So that is that. So that is why we're saying our assets are going to be increased because that money is going to be paid into the bank account. So we know banks falls under the category of the assets, that is current assets. So the second one now, the second one says Peter should repay paid wages 850 to the cleaner. So it means now we're going to have minus 850. We're going to have minus 850. So it means our assets bank is going to decrease because you're going to pay this much. We are going to take out this into our business, 850. So it means we're going to say asset bank now decreases. So we are going to pay out. So this is going to affect our assets as we are going to pay out what? 850 to our cleaner. So what is going to happen to our owner's equity? So. The first one, we didn't treat the owner's equity. So the first one, we are going to have this plus 35,000 as well under owner's equity. Why are we doing that? Because that is a capital contribution. Capital contribution. Capital contribution increases owner's equity, increases owner's equity. Sorry for not showing on the owner's equity side. So we don't have any effect on liabilities. So because we contribute what 35,000 into our account, so it is going to also increase our owner's equity. It's going to increase our owner's equity. That is the reason why we are saying plus 35,000 under owner's equity. So the second one, like we said Peter should repay wages. They paid this much, 850 to the cleaner. So we have said because you're going to pay, you're going to take money out of the business. It means our assets are going to decrease by 850. That is why we are saying asset bank decreases. So what is going to happen on our owner's equity? Our owner's equity is going to as well be minus 850 because expenses, which are wages, decreases owner's equity. We are saying because expenses, let's write it. We are saying expenses, which is wages, decreases owner's equity. Decreases owner's equity. So that is that. So we don't have any effect on liabilities. So that is how we were expected to answer a 2.2 question. So now let us go to 2.3. We are on 2.3 right now. That is cash receipts journal. That is cash receipts journal. 2.3 is about cash receipts journal. So here we are on cash receipts journal. That is 21 marks that you are to get. So 2.3.1, as it says, use the information given below to draw up cash receipts journal of Mahana Gardening Service for July 2024. Do not close off the journal at the end of the month. So the first transactions, as we are on transactions now, the first transaction says the owner, because we are saying we are on transactions. The first one says the owner, Mahana, invested 25,000 in Mahana Gardening Service. So the amount was deposited into the current account of the business and receipt 0.001 was issued. So now we are to treat that under cash receipt journal. Does it affect our cash receipt journal? That is true. because we are saying Mahana invested 25,000 into his business account, which is a current account. So now we are going to try to treat it. So we are first going to say our receipt number is 001 on the first. So it is on the first. Now details we have to write M Mahana. M Mahana. So the analysis of receipt must show the amount, which is 25,000, which we are going to deposit into the bank account, 25,000. So 25,000 we have said is going into the bank account. So also, what was this for? It was for a capital account. You can see we don't have capital account. Our columns doesn't have capital account. So that is why we have to go to sundry accounts. So we're going to write 25,000. That is for capital. That is a capital. So that is that. So now let us go to other transactions that will affect our cash receipts. So on the 8th, it says cash received. The cash received for service rendered is 1,500. So we received the cash. So it simply says this do affect our cash receipt journal. So that is on the 8th. So we have cash that the business received of how much? The cash that the business received of how much? Of 1.5. So we're going to say cash under our analysis of receipts, we're going to have 1,500, 1,500, which is going to go into our bank, 1,500. And this comes to our current income into business account. So we are going to write it under current income, 1,500. It is going to go into the business account. That is why we show it under current income. So on the 15th now, on the 15th, received electronic funds payment from Impala Estates. So it means Impala Estates is the one that pays. It paid us through the EFT. It paid us through the electronic funds transfer. For the following service rendered, received 002 was issued. That is for cutting trees, 2,500, garbage removal for 500 each. Or 500 each. Like you said that, so now we have to show that into our answer book. We are to show that into our answer book. So we are going to show that into our answer book. So let us go to our answer book. So here we are on our answer book. Like we have said, it was on the 15th. So that was for the invoice 002. The date is 15. So that is Impala Estates that is paying us through EFT. So we have to show that under details. Impala Estates. Impala Estates. So we are saying it's Impala Estates. Remember, it paid us for cutting trees 2.5. For cabbages, it was for how much? 500. So it means the money that is going to go into our bank account is 3,000. That is that. So that money comes into our current income, into business income with this amount, 3,000. So that is that. So now let us go to another transaction. Let us see the 21. On the 21, it says paid weekly wages via electronic funds transfer to our receptionist, 800. So this doesn't affect our cash receipt journal. This one is a cash payment journal. So like this one, we have said the CRJs. This one, remember the CRJs. Even this one is CRJ. So this one is CPJ. So it means you are not going to CPJ. So it doesn't go under cash receipt journal. So, but still on the same date, received 6,000 from Naus barber shop for the renting part of the building. Received what 003 was issued. So this one do affect our cash receipt journal. So this one will affect our cash receipt journal, and we are to record it the as receipt number 003 on the on 21. So detail is going to be Naus Barber Shop. So that is Naus Barber Shop. Naus Barber Shop. So we have said it's how much? 60,000. 60,000 under analysis of receipt. So it must go to the bank as what? 6,000. So that money comes into our current income as well. No. It's in the bank. So that is the money that we've received. So we have to show it under 6,000, must be showed under sundry accounts because it's for rent. And then we don't have rent column here. So that is why we have to take it under sundry accounts as 6,000. And we have to show that this money was for rent income. That was for rent income because they hired part of our building. So that is that. So now let us go to 23. 23 said paid 800 to municipality fire, electronic funds for water and electricity. So this one doesn't affect our cash receipt journal. This one is a CPJ, cash payment journal. We are the ones who paid. So we can't treat it under cash payment, under cash receipt. So this one is treated under cash payment journal. So it means now we are not going to do anything with this one. Let us see 21st, 25. 25 says the business received 1,000 donation from Department of Trade and Industry. So this one is the cash receipt journal because we are donated by the Department of Trade and Industry. So let us record it. 25th. So that is 004 receipt on the 25. So we are saying Department of Trade and Industry. Trade and Industry. So that is that we received how much? 1,000. So this 1,000 is going to go into our bank account and is going to go under industry account because you don't have the column for donation. Yes, you can see. So once you don't have column for that, we are to take it into sundry accounts as what? As 1,000. So we have to show that it was for donation. So that is that. So this is the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for your time. Please make use of this presentation as it will help you. It will help you to prepare for the June exam that you're going to write for term 2. Thank you very much. Please share with others.